House of Cards is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
You're listening to House of Cards.
Today, the game is different.
I want to gamble. Gambling is a very serious business. Is that clear?
Welcome to House of Cards. Dave Weishaupt with you here, deep from the swamps of Jersey. We got a great show coming up for you. Lots of sports are happening right now, which means most of the sportsbook operators are trying to attract attention to get more customers. Just how exactly are they doing that, and which states are expanding to allow sports betting within their borders? Well, that's what we're going to find out, because we're going to be talking with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective. He's going to be telling us how the sportsbook operators are going to be using their advertising and the new states where we may see those advertisements. So stick around. We'll be right back with House of Cards.
Money matters. Money always matters. If you owe thousands in back taxes to the IRS, how much can Tax Solutions Now save you?
I paid less than I owe.
That's right, money matters. So call Tax Solutions Now and get the IRS off your back. Since 2014, Tax Solutions Now has been a leader in the tax resolution industry. That's why we say money matters. Remove wage garnishments, property liens, fines, and penalties. Qualify for the Fresh Start program or even uncollectible status. Money matters. How much can Tax Solutions Now save you?
I owed the IRS over $10,000. I paid a fraction of what I owed.
Call now to reduce or even eliminate your back taxes.
We were being audited. We couldn't sleep. We called Tax Solutions Now.
I called Tax Solutions Now and got the IRS off my back. Thanks. You saved us a ton of money.
Money matters. How much can Tax Solutions Now save you? Call now and find out.
Call 800-297-9788. 800-297-9788.
Psst. Yeah, you. Come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
Lose track of time in those casinos. There's no windows, there's no clocks, and you never walk away from the table when you're on a heater.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishaupt with you. It's been an incredibly busy month for sportsbook operators. All the sports were playing at one time, and operators are trying to reach as much of an audience as they can while also preparing to open their books in new markets across the country. And as always, to keep us up to date about what's going on in the gambling world, we are lucky to talk with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective. Adam, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, great to be back.
Oh, it's always great having you. And like I said, it's been an incredibly busy month in the sports betting business. I mean, a lot of operators are trying to get the word out and about their services. And so one of the hot topics out there is for marketers is the marketing strategies. Now, you're a part of a panel about omni-channel marketing at G2E, which for people who don't know is a huge gaming convention. And like I said, that's a big topic in the business. However, for people out there listening who aren't familiar with the term, what do we mean when we say omni-channel marketing?
Yeah, it was really interesting, actually. So the panel hasn't gone live yet. It's going to go live later in October.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly when this show airs, but it'll be probably around the same time, I guess. And I had a couple of CEOs on there, and as well as the head of U.S. gaming for Optimove, which is the biggest CRM, customer relationship management service in the gaming industry. And I was learning myself quite a bit in this because my business has always been for nearly 20 years now that I've been in this industry on the acquisition side. I'm helping operators, gaming companies bring in new customers. And what these omni-channel marketing solutions and CRM solutions do is they try to deal more on the retention side with customers. They're looking for ways to take existing customers and re-engage them if they become disengaged, or to get them, continue engagement with them or increase engagement with them. And what's changed a lot in the digital era these last, I guess, 20 to 25 years, and particularly the more recent years where, once everything's gone mobile, is that operators are trying to find ways, and casinos are trying to find ways to engage people via their devices, not just by sending direct mailers out like you get still probably. I'm sure, Dave, you get mailers from Borgata sometimes. I even get them down in Georgia, where it's like, special summer rate, like book now for a weekend in Atlantic City. I get that stuff. I'm sure, living there, you get even more.
Sure.
And so that's kind of a more traditional means of marketing. But omni-channel, they're looking to target very specific messages based on user profile, sometimes based on your physical location. Like if you're near the property or on the property, you might get a different kind of message and notification to your phone or something like that than you would get if you're somewhere else. So they're tracking user behavior a lot more digitally and trying to target very specific messages to people based on that.
When we're on the radio right now, and usually we're on a sports talk channel, and all the sports talk channels say their target audience are males 18 to 35 years old. Is that a sportsbook operator's main target? I mean, do they go how the sports media looks at marketing? Is it who are the market that sportsbook operators are trying to reach?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely think that is an interesting target audience, the one that you just mentioned, but I don't think that encompasses all of the main audience. I would say that it is a male-focused marketing effort, but the age range goes a bit higher. I would say probably more like up to 49 or even 55. And obviously they're targeting older customers as well, but I think the big target audience for sports betting is those males, from college age all the way up to kind of the middle age type males. And I think online casino skews a bit older than that, but for sports betting, maybe up into the early to mid 50s.
Do they develop a national plan, or is it a more state-to-state plan? I mean, do they approach a state that has 60% people betting online differently than they approach a state with 90% people betting online? I mean, does it get that specific, or is it a national plan and they just put it into sections of the country?
That's a good question, Dave. I mean, I think it's a thing that's changing a lot recently, just because of the proliferation over the last year or two of sports betting in the U.S. and particularly online sports betting. Because in 2018, when PASPA went down after the Supreme Court case that said that the law law banning sports betting in most of the U.S. was not a valid law, and sports betting started to get legalized in a lot of U.S. states. We see more and more of these operators that were more like local and regional operators kind of trying to go national, but at the same time, still in most of the U.S., sports betting is not legal, particularly in what we call the Big Four states. New York, I guess, is an exception because technically sports betting is legal in New York, but it's only legal at a few tribal casinos that are nowhere near the city. So I'm not sure that really counts. Right. But in California, Florida, and Texas, there's still no legal sports betting. So, those states make up a huge chunk of the population, just those four.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-515-1558. 800-515-1558.
You're listening to House of Cards.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day.
No way.
I'll give you 3-1 odds.
Nope.
5-1.
Nope.
10-1.
You're on.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you. For those of you just joining us, I am talking with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective. Sorry about that. Radio has to do its business, Why don't you continue what you were saying before the break?
Around a lot of the country now, and a lot of mid-sized states and even some bigger states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, and hopefully soon Ohio, Illinois, Virginia is coming very soon. A lot of the bigger states are starting to have it, including online, and it does make the marketing strategy a bit more national than it has been historically. And I think this is where certain operators clearly have a very big advantage. FanDuel and DraftKings are the ones that come to mind most quickly for the obvious reason that they've been marketing other products that they've been able to get away with offering for real money for years in most of the states in the country. So while they don't have a sports betting audience per se, they do have real money people willing to, I'm not supposed to say wager, I guess, but people willing to risk real money on certain aspects of games that are already used to depositing money into their services and making plays for money. And there are other services that do things like that. And then there are also operators like Barstool Sports that just launched that have a national online media platform that's very engaged and very geared towards gambling. And so when Penn National bought a big chunk of Barstool Sports and then, turned them into a sports betting operator that is currently live in one state but will soon be live in more, they're kind of trying to do the same thing, take a national marketing strategy that's really already happened and turn that into a sports betting marketing strategy. And it puts a lot of these guys at an advantage compared to, say, these European operators that are coming over with effectively no U.S. brand equity at all, very little, very, very small percentage of the population who even knows what Bet365 is or Unibet is in the U.S., and they've kind of got to start from scratch just getting their name out there. So, yeah, I mean, I think the ones that have done that national strategy, as you say, are at a big advantage.
You predicted one of my questions because I have Barstool Sports in my notes that I wanted to talk to you about. Are they the model right now for omni-channel marketing? I mean, they have radio shows, streaming television shows, podcasts, blogs, very strong social media presence, and they did a strategic partnership with Penn National Gaming, and now they have a branded retail sportsbook in Greektown Casino in Detroit. Are they the model of what sportsbook operators can and should be doing with omni-channel marketing?
Well, it's a really interesting question because my first instinct is to say yes. I think they're doing an excellent job of having their name show up in a lot of different formats and places, on the radio, on the billboards, in online search, just all kinds of places that people are looking that they are showing up. My panel and the people that I was speaking to were kind of talking about something a bit different, where they were focused less on brand building and brand awareness and more on what you do with existing customers. So I think it's a little bit of confusing terminology, the whole omni-channel thing, but it's really more about what they're doing with their existing customers and how to target offers to them and target messaging to them to engage them to the max and get the highest customer values. But I think that when we're talking about acquisitions, Barstool is in a lot of ways a model because they're in so many places. Now, back on DraftKings and FanDuel, they have also been doing this for years, and they've been actually promoting products for years, not just their brand name. And so I still find them to be at a significant advantage in that, not only do they have an engaged user base who knows their name, but they also have had people depositing money in and risking money in their offerings for years and years. So they've been building that kind of trust and also building a database of people that are very strong leads because they've already been doing something very similar to betting real money on sports.
I'm curious, has the pandemic changed the way sportsbooks market themselves? I mean, like you said, I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and I was watching TV before I came on to do the interview, and I saw about 5 television commercials for gambling. I saw a BetMGM commercial, FanDuel, DraftKings, and there was online casinos like you wouldn't believe on TV. I actually saw, we also have the Pennsylvania channels. I saw a commercial for online poker, which I never thought I would see. How has the pandemic changed marketing? And do you think it's just a temporary thing? Once people start getting out, do you think they'll rely on TV as much as they have been, especially in New Jersey or in Pennsylvania, as they were during the pandemic?
Well, it's an interesting question about the pandemic. I thought things were headed this way regardless. I think the pandemic has sped a lot of things up, gambling and otherwise, in terms of moving things more digital, even than how they were already headed, or hastening the move towards digital. So I think you're onto something there. I definitely think that there was more urgency in states like Michigan that we're predicting a launch in 2021 sometime, and now it sounds like mid-November of this year for Michigan sports betting to start. Some other states that have passed laws relatively recently, Virginia is an example, that are planning to launch before the end of this year. Tennessee finally got off their butts and started moving towards a launch plan, which appears to be happening before the end of October, or at the very latest, the beginning of November. And so you do see, I think, just a hastening need to get everybody playing online and not, forcing people into brick and mortar venues. A really interesting development has been the one in Illinois over the last several months, and it's still an ongoing situation, a fluctuating situation. But Illinois, for those who don't know, and those who don't know are probably most, they had passed the sports betting law that effectively said that once the market launched, there was an 18-month period before people could register online for sports betting. So if you were based in Illinois and once that market launched and you wanted to bet on sports, you had to register your account online, but you had to physically appear at a casino to verify your account before you could actually start doing your online betting for real money, which is the same as the system in Nevada for years, by the way, and the system in Iowa for now. But Illinois did this as it's a protectionist measure. It's set up to, to give advantage to existing on the ground operators before people like the FanDuels and DraftKings are able to compete with them and give a marketing edge to the casinos on the ground that have properties, particularly the ones that have properties around Chicago, where most of the population is in the state. And in the middle of the pandemic, I think it was June that this first happened, the governor made an executive order that turned this practice on its head and basically just said, no, okay, everybody who's authorized now can, in fact, take online registrations because we don't want to be needlessly sending people into casinos, which is smart, right?
Yep.
And so that went on for a few weeks, and then the order got renewed by the governor and went on for a few more weeks, and then it didn't get renewed. And there was a period of about 3 weeks where, once again, people needed to go to a casino if they wanted to register for online sports betting in Illinois. And then the governor did renew the executive order again and has since renewed it. But it's still, every time they renew it, it's for 3 or 4 weeks. And we really don't know what's happening until right around when it's set to expire.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
I love getting my kids ready and driving them to school.
But a careless driver can change your life in an instant, and insurance companies want to settle on the cheap. Auto Accident Help Desk connects victims with powerful lawyers. They fight for you.
I called Auto Accident Help Desk and got help for my pain and suffering.
Don't let an insurance company take advantage of you. Our attorneys fight and beat big insurance every day. If you've been injured in an automobile accident in the last 6 months, you owe it to yourself to make this free call with no obligation.
When I called, they asked me a few questions and matched me with a powerful lawyer who knew how to fight for me.
Call now. We're available 24/7 to help you get the money you deserve for your pain and suffering.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
Auto Accident Help Desk helps accident victims like you every day.
Call 800-613-4611. 800-613-4611. 800-613-4611.
Hey, this is Dave Weishottle from House of Cards with your House of Cards gaming report for the week of October 26, 2020. According to the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement, gambling revenue in Atlantic City casinos was down for the month of September. Brick-and-mortar table games and slots brought in $190.6 million in revenue, down $33.9 million from September of last year. However, online gaming revenue in New Jersey increased, bringing in $87.6 million in September, a $46.5 million increase compared to this time last year. The Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board reported that casino revenue is up in the month of September. The state's casinos brought in $284.2 million in revenue, a 1% increase from September of 2019. The top performer was Parks Casino, generating $53.5 million in revenue, followed by Mount Airy Casino, Bet Rivers Philadelphia, and Valley Forge Casino Resort. And finally, a huge jackpot was won at the Hard Rock Casino in Atlantic City last week. A plumber from New Jersey who identified himself only as James was playing the Royal Flush Mega Jackpot on Ultimate Texas Hold'em when he hit big, turning a $5 bet into $1.3 million. James says he plans to put away some money for his kids and take his wife on a vacation. Congratulations to James on his big win. Have any news or tips regarding casinos, gaming, or legislation? Send us an email at newsroom@houseofcardsradio.com and follow us on Twitter at HOC Radio.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Where was the house? Where was the House of Cards?
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here. For those of you just joining us, I am talking with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective. Sorry about that. Radio has to do its business, you know. Why don't you continue what you were saying before the break?
So they've got an even weirder situation there in Illinois, and it's frustrating, definitely, for industry stakeholders and for, I think, players, just people in the state not knowing whether they can do it or not from week to week. Certainly if it's confusing for someone like me, it's probably very confusing for just, a random person in Illinois who wants to bet on sports and doesn't follow the industry minute to minute like I do. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of different things in different states, and the pandemic has affected a lot of things. I mean, you look at New Jersey and, you guys the revenue just dropped, recently for the month of September. Sports betting handle was north of $700 million for the month, which means, revenue, was probably somewhere between 5 and 10% of that. I don't know if the revenue numbers came out at the same time, but, handle was massive, and we're just seeing more and more growth for the online channels. I don't think that's all going back after the pandemic. I mean, sure. I don't even know, how does the pandemic end? It's the first time in our life. It could be a very gradual process over a number of years. And I don't think that people's habits of moving this kind of activity online are just going to change back overnight.
Well, let me ask you something. Illinois, for me, is the prime example of how not to do sports betting and roll out sports betting in a proper way. I mean, I look at Michigan right now. We mentioned Michigan about, with Penn National and Barstool opening up a retail sportsbook in Greektown Casino. But Michigan is planning on their online sportsbooks. I mean, what is the plan in Michigan, and are they doing it right, unlike, in my opinion, Illinois?
Yeah, well, Illinois is the perfect example of doing everything wrong in everything, right? I mean, they're sort of famously terrible at public policy in that state. But, in Michigan, I mean, I think their law is certainly much, much smarter than Illinois'. I mean, largely just because they didn't put in all those protectionist measures that Illinois put in. It's just really a shame when a state goes to such lengths to try to protect incumbent businesses and to not allow competition. I think Michigan has done a much better job of opening things up. It's similar to New Jersey. You've still got to partner with a land-based casino, but given the number of skins that are going to be allowed there, we're expecting a very robust and competitive market there. The tax rates are pretty industry friendly, which means that people can get aggressive with their marketing, with their, customer offers, not go too crazy on terrible pricing on bets and stuff like that. Give people a chance to get in there and have fun and hopefully have a chance to win sometimes and not be bogged down. I mean, there are so many different states and so many different approaches, but I think Michigan's an example of a state that has really taken a player and industry friendly approach and not gotten too greedy about upfront tax revenue or anything like that. They look like they're in it for the long term.
Are we expecting the usual books in Michigan? I mean, like a BetMGM, FanDuel, DraftKings, will they be present in Michigan? And also, will Michigan have that strange rule where when you want to sign up for your online sports betting account, you have to finish registering at the retail sportsbook? Because hopefully states are starting to catch on that that's a crazy rule.
Yeah, Michigan will not have that rule. You'll be able to register online from your mobile device or computer right away once it launches. And the answer to your other question is yes, pretty much everybody is going to be there. All the bigs, William Hill, DraftKings, FanDuel, Rush Street, which runs the Bet Rivers online sportsbook in a lot of states. I believe Barstool, pretty much all of the biggest operators are going to be in Michigan. And on the poker side, because there's going to be online poker and casino there will be Poker Stars. And I'm guessing Caesars and WSOP are going to find a way in there. I haven't heard anything specific about them, but my guess is that pretty much all of the big online poker and casino brands are going to be live in Michigan.
You know, another state I want to ask you about, and you mentioned it a couple minutes ago, and that's Tennessee. I love what Tennessee is doing, and just recently I interviewed Tina Hodges from Tennessee Action 24/7, and it's just Tennessee is so unique. I mean, can you give us a lay of the land about Tennessee and their sports betting market and why it's so different from the rest of the country?
Sure, yeah, and it's cool that you had someone from Action 24/7 on, because they've taken a unique approach. It's very different than, say, BetMGM or DraftKings or FanDuel. They're really just focused on one single state market right now, which is Tennessee. They're a local company. Their office is close to our main office, which is also in downtown Nashville.
Great.
And so we're very familiar with them. And just, I mean, for listeners who don't know, I'm based in Atlanta. Our company, which runs the website Roto Grinders and a bunch of other news websites, is based in Nashville. I actually used to live there, went to college there. Got very close ties, and we all do. And so we're tracking this market very closely, and we're excited about it. We already saw the Titans game, which was Tuesday night against the Bills after getting delayed because of some COVID-19 positives, that there were huge BetMGM ads on the scoreboard during the game. Got friends who took pictures of that. I mean, clearly BetMGM is going hard there. Other brands are going hard there. Action 24/7 is really staking their claim, trying to use their local business connections to boost their own acquisition there in the state. I think it's going to be an interesting market. It's definitely going to have some participants that we haven't seen elsewhere. And it's going to be, because it's online only, because there are no brick and mortar casinos in the state. There's not the same kind of licensing process that you have in a state like New Jersey, where you effectively have to piggyback onto a land-based casino's license if you're a brand that is not attached by company ties to a brick and mortar casino. For example, DraftKings in New Jersey works with resorts to offer their online sportsbook and casino product, and so there's a lot more complexity of getting licensed in a state like that, whereas in Tennessee they're just going straight through the lottery. Now, states had their own issues. The regulatory process has taken much longer than anyone thought it would early on, and anyone hoped it would. I mean, people were talking last year about Tennessee online sports betting launching before the football season started in 2019. So there were a lot of people that thought that this market would have been live a full year ago, and it just kept getting pushed back. But it was a couple months here and there. It was okay, it should be live by the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden here we are, and it's October 2020, and it's still not live. And there have been some big personnel changes, but ever since Danielle Boyd got there, she's VP of something there at the Tennessee Lottery now. I've had a lot of confidence that this market would get up and running the right way. She did a really great job in West Virginia doing the same thing, working with the West Virginia Lottery to push the regulations forward for online sports betting. She really knows what she's doing, and I think she's working hard, working like crazy there to get this right. Working through some very difficult bureaucratic processes, but I think that market will launch and will do well. They do have an impediment that was a self-imposed impediment that they're requiring the sports books to have a 90% hold. Mm-hmm. Not 90%, 10% hold. Mm-hmm. They're requiring them to pay out no more than 90% of handle back to bettors, which is strange because, sports events can go wrong for the books. 90% of people in the Super Bowl bet on the team that wins. I don't know how over the rest of the course of the year they achieve a 90% payback and not over 100% payback. But that's imposed by the lottery. They're looking at the way they look at a lottery, which is that they want sort of a guaranteed amount of revenue coming in. It's not really how sports betting works. It's going to make some challenges. They're probably going to have to focus a lot on parlays. That would be my guess, is that they're trying to push people heavily into parlay betting, which has a higher, sort of artificially higher hold percentage. And just, one more note on that, just because it's funny. I think a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, they're trying to push people into worse bets. I don't really see it that way. I just think it's more like people who would have bet on 3 different things, or possibly might have bet, their winnings from one game on another, that they instead try to push it into a parlay just to, try to market it a different way, where it just appears that the hold is different than it would be otherwise. I don't think it's anything logical, that people would think about when they're just imagining this. It's just going to be a way to make those numbers look better on paper.
Do you think Tennessee is a test case for other states looking maybe to jump into sports betting? Do you think they'll see Tennessee and, maybe only online sports betting works and the way they're doing it works? I mean, how much are people around the country looking at Tennessee right now?
I don't think that's the model state. I think there was an inkling that it might have been when the law first passed there. The law looked like it was very flexible and gave a lot of opportunities that other states didn't. And I think, they could draw the interest of other states, particularly states that don't have a brick and mortar casino industry and would be looking to regulate via either a brand new regulatory agency or via their state lottery or something like that, including a state like Georgia, where I live. There are a lot of states like this that don't have casinos. And so I think there was that early idea that Tennessee might become the model state. My guess is now that something more like Colorado is getting more of that kind of review of being a bit of a test lab, a place where there's a bit more of an opportunity for operators to get in there and try new things. And something very interesting in Colorado is that market's only been online for a few months. And yet all kinds of operators have launched there. I believe there are over 20 live online operators now, and including some brands that no one had ever heard of, at least people betting online in regulated states before. There are some brands that are very unfamiliar to a lot of people, and they're just kind of getting in, testing things out. Some of them are European companies, like Betfred, launched for the first time in Colorado. It's a big European book with a lot of retail locations in Europe, but also some of them are just online sports books that are American companies that hadn't launched in any states yet and found Colorado to be the best place to start trying things out. So I think that hope that everyone had for Tennessee has become hope for Colorado, that it becomes kind of the test lab for the country.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards.
You, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Now that we're home more than ever, we need to feel safe. Call it a sign of the times or the world we now live in. What do you want to keep safe? The people in your life? What do you want to protect? Your possessions, the things that belong to you, the things that you've worked hard for. Wouldn't it be nice to have tested, trusted 24/7 protection? Peace of mind, real protection that's always there for you and your whole family? Well, now you can with one of our state-of-the-art home security systems. Everyone thinks their home is safe until the unexpected happens. Help protect your home and loved ones today with the affordable next generation in home security. To help keep your family and property safe, call 1-800-520-4068 now. Representatives are standing by to assist you. That's 1-800-250-4068. 1-800-520-4068.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
Whoa! I think we got a show.
Oh, yeah, we got a show.
We definitely got a show.
Oh, yeah, there's a show. Hey, it's all about ratings, baby, and we got them.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishottle with you here. For those of you just joining us, I am talking with Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective. You know, another state that's been in the news a lot lately with regard to sports betting is Virginia. What is going on right now with Virginia?
So it's been quiet, right? I mean, compared to at least like where I'm hearing, I hear a lot about Tennessee and I hear a lot about Michigan. And here we have a state that's a top 10 in population. I believe Virginia is 10th in the country or 9th in the country in population. So it's a significant state. Obviously, a lot of the people that, you know, work in Washington, D.C. or, you know, in government-related operations live in Virginia. And so it's an important state in a lot of ways. And there will be online sports betting there pretty soon. A lot of sources I've heard have said before the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being more like January or February. But they are, you know, open for applications. Things are moving ahead. And who knows? They could be live in December. And we could have a situation where in the last couple of months of the year, Tennessee, which is, you know, a top 20 state, I believe, in population, and then Michigan and Virginia, which are both top 10 states, all launch in a short period of time. It's adding a big new chunk of the population into kind of the flow of this new sports betting industry, and not just a big chunk of the population. It's sort of geographically diverse. Michigan is, you know, very much a Midwestern Rust Belt state, and then you've got Virginia, which is government heavy, and Tennessee, which, you know, while technically next to Virginia, they're two long states, so they kind of represent different areas and different populations. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out once all three of those are live, to join all these other states that have gone live in the last year or so.
Adam, we don't have a lot of time left, but I certainly want to get your opinion on what's going on with an offshore sportsbook called Five Dimes. I mean, they recently paid a settlement of $47 million because of illegal gambling allegations, and now they're trying to become a legal sportsbook in the U.S. What is the situation with Five Dimes currently, and do they even have a shot at becoming a legal sportsbook operator in the U.S.?
I mean, I think it's very unlikely. I should never say that it's impossible, because money is the big thing that drives everything in business and politics and everything else. And if they pay enough of it to the right people, they probably can get a chance. What I'm more confused about and uncertain about is why they would be going this path, and why, you know, anyone would work with them. They've got one asset that I'm sure is very interesting to a lot of people, which is a huge database of existing customers, because they've been offering their services for 20 years or so to the U.S., and they've been operated out of Costa Rica, which is a place I used to live. I knew some of the people that worked at Five Dimes, and you know, they were very big in the heyday of Costa Rican sports betting, U.S. facing sports betting from Costa Rica. But I don't think that I think their business has fallen off some. The founder and sole owner, as far as I know, died last year. Yeah. And his wife now has been in charge of the business. From everything I've heard, she wasn't really integral to the business before his disappearance and death. And I'm not sure that, you know, she's someone that has a lot of experience running a business like this or anything like that. And it's a situation that doesn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of like them being a brand that would be trying to get into the U.S. market. I think it does make sense that if allowed, some operator would want their database, and it might be that what they're trying to do is make that a non-toxic asset, so that a company like Bet365, for example, or Unibet might consider, you know, trying to buy their database just to have an in with more customers in the U.S. because they're starting from scratch in the U.S. after coming over from Europe. I mean, it definitely isn't something that I would put past a company like that. But at the same time, it's such an uphill climb. It's not like Five Dimes once offered their services to the U.S. market, back in a pre-regulatory time when there were no regulated books. I mean, they were offering their services to U.S. customers earlier this year. Yeah. They were doing it in the middle of the summer. So, just because they shut down and pay some money to the U.S. and stop offering their services in the U.S. in the middle of 2020, to me doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're free and clear to go do whatever they want. Each state regulator is going to have to look at them. It's not just like, once they get past their federal crimes issues that they're all of a sudden clean. Gambling regulators look at a lot more than that.
Adam Small from USBets.com and Better Collective, thanks so much for talking with us and keeping us updated on what's going on in the gambling world. You always give us great information, and we look forward to next time you're on.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be back.
Oh, great to have you. Well, that'll do it for us this week. I'll see you next time on House of Cards.
Across the desert plain.